It's time to celebrate the weekend's arrival. Grab a freshly brewed bean-to-cup crazy good coffee. Build your best blend and customize with our wide variety of creamers and toppings. Get what you need to get back on track today. Wherever you're headed in Atlanta, Racetrack's here for whatever gets you going. And you'll be here before you know it. We're never far away. You'll find us just off Atlanta Highway. Racetrack. Whatever gets you going.
When you buy Kroger brand products, you feel like you're winning. That's because they offer proven quality at lower than low prices. In fact, we guarantee that you and your family will love how Kroger brand products taste, or you get your money back. So next time you're shopping for the family, look for delicious Kroger brand products, because they'll make you all feel like you're winning. Shop now, in-store, or online. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Welcome to Friday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. So glad you could join us for this very special hour of Giants talk here on Giants.com. Our phone number is 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. I really suggest you give us a call because we got some great stuff to talk about today. I'm Paul Dottino. He's Matt Citak. We're available on Twitter. I'm at Giants WFAN. He is at Matt Citak. That makes perfect sense, by the way, folks. Very creative with your...
Oh, I know.
You know. We're going to be here again for the next hour. And we want to know, number one, if you went to the Giants Night of Legends at the theater at Madison Square Garden last night, it was a night for the ages. And I certainly hope that if you're a diehard Giants fan, you were able to get there. If you were not, there will be a number of videos as well as an edited version of the program that will at some point in time be released through the Giants media outlets.
Yes.
I don't know. Are we allowed to say that yet?
Yes, actually, next Thursday night at 7 p.m., there will be a 1-hour special, a slightly condensed version of last night's event.
It took about 2:45, I think. So it is condensed.
This one will only be 1 hour, but it will be airing on MSG. It'll be up on Giants.com, the Giants app, Giants YouTube, Giants TV. So you'll have to wait till next Thursday, 7 p.m. But
Eastern
it's
time.
coming. Eastern time. But
Okay.
but it is coming.
So up until then, I'm sure you've gone on your social media platforms and seen lots of clips, lots of pictures, and lots of videos. And again, phenomenal night. I simply want to tell you folks who were not there, Bob Papa was the host. He did an awesome job. Everybody in the building, the production staff, the graphics staff, the marketing department, the events department, the TV production department. I don't want to leave anybody out, so maybe I should just leave it right there. And if I start naming names, it'll take 2 hours to name all the names of all the people who busted their butts for a long time to make this thing happen in a capsule. Bob hosted a panel discussion throughout the 245 or whatever it turned out to be in front of a jam-packed 5,000 seat crowd at the Garden, where they brought in Giants legends ranging from the 60s with Pete Gogolak, the kicker, who obviously was very instrumental in the AFL-NFL merger when he defected the Buffalo Bills of the AFL as a free agent and signed with the New York Football Giants. And that really triggered a bidding war, which wound up leading to the AFL-NFL merger. Started with Pete Gogolak. He is the Giants' all-time leading scorer, by the way, and the first soccer-style kicker in NFL history. Starts there and went all the way up to the current-day Giants. Okay? And we're talking about Hall of Famers, like the line from here to the other side of the Verrazano Narrow Bridge. Okay? Michael Strahan, LT, Harry Carson, Bill Parcells. Coughlin's going to the Hall of Fame. Eli's going to the Hall of Fame. Sims easily could be in the Hall of Fame. It was absolutely sensational. And the way that it was broken up with the video presentations, the memorabilia that was in the halls of the Garden, the murals, the wallpapered walls of the Garden with all kinds of photographs from Giants history, the busts from Canton that were brought in of almost 24, I think, Giants Hall of Famers that they brought in. They were there. Super Bowl trophies. I can't say enough about how much fun we had last night. I will only say this, okay? Watch the special. You will enjoy it. Thursday. Next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, MSG, or your Giants media or social media platforms. I will leave it there, and hopefully some of you who attended the event will give us a call and tell us about some of your favorite moments. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I'll work off of what you guys want to say. I will add one other item, and it really tapped it off, and that was at the end of the night. The Giants brought out a veteran, 100 years old, to cap off the night. He's been alive for every season of New York Giants football. And they brought him out on the stage, and the place erupted. It was as if the Rangers had just scored an overtime goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The place, standing ovation, and that was the way the night, ended. Holy smokes. Folks, just can't say enough.
Yeah, and I just want to add, with all of this, Giants 100th season content, there's been so much work that's been put in by so many people across so many different departments inside our building. Going back to last summer. Last summer, it was when, I began working with some of my colleagues on just various different pieces of content and things related to this 100th season. And this Night of Legends, A Night with Legends last night was really a culmination of, as you mentioned, just so much hard work from so many different people. I just want to give a quick shout out to my colleagues in the digital department and the production department especially, because a lot of us, I now get to come on camera and speak with you and, show my face, but all my colleagues that put in just as much, even more hard work than I do.
Immeasurable hours.
They don't get the recognition, so I just want to give them a quick little hat tip. Pearson over here is in the production department. All the people he works with put together such amazing content throughout the entire year, and they all worked so hard on a lot of the video content that those that were at the event last night saw. So just wanted to give a quick little shout out to.
It wasn't much of an off season.
No, we don't get much of an off season here, but this one especially has been quite busy for a lot of us. So it was just glad to see that this big event that has had so much time and effort put into it for such a long time go so smoothly and be such a big success. It was just great to see.
It was a touchdown. Without a question, it was a touchdown. Lou Lofreze, Lofrese, was the 100-year-old gentleman who came out onto the stage at the very end of the presentation, and again drew a standing ovation. All of the Giants legends. At one point, I didn't count them. At one point, there must have been 24 guys up there, if not more, and they all went over to make sure that they said hello to him, congratulations on his 100th birthday, and wow, just an incredible event. All right, so folks, here's what I want to do. I want to open this up. Hopefully, some of you did attend, and you were able to get tickets. Again, there was only 5,000 seats in the building, so a lot of you could not get there. But for those of you who did, I want you to call in and give us your favorite part at 201-939-4513. For those of you who did not attend or could not get in, we offer you this question of the day, and it does pertain to Giants history. The Giants have won 4 Super Bowl championships, 21, 25, 42, 46. Which one is your favorite and why? Vote for your favorite Giants Super Bowl championship. Again, there were 4 of them. I mean, I know every one of you have one. So even if you didn't get to the event, I know that is a question that you are eligible to answer. 201-939-4513. All right, let's see if we can go to the phones, because I think the calls are starting to light up already, and I appreciate that. And we will go quickly to Robbie in New York. You're first on the program. Hello.
Paul, I met you last night with my 1941 Giant December 7th program.
Yes,
and
sir.
What a pleasure hearing you over the years. You're like me in a lot of ways. I'm 63 years old. Number one, I echo everything. If you're a Giant fan, it was the greatest night ever. I mean, I've been to a Super Bowl. I went to the wrong one. I actually went to the Niner game in 2011. Saw Eli get destroyed out there, and we won that game. But I want to go over a few things about Giant history because I got to come in. I have been, number one, my dad gave me stuff from way back when he used to go to games. He was the commissioner of New York City in the PSAL. So I used to meet Marty Glickman, who I'm sad that he was not mentioned. Marty Glickman, for all of you who are listening, and you know, Paul, you might be a little older than me, but I'm 63. Marty Glickman was the greatest New York City announcer I ever heard in my life, doing Knick games and doing the football Giants on WNEW. You would see the game in your head because, as you know, Paul, back in the day, before the games were on TV after 1973, okay, when that whole came about, you had to sell out the games.
The blackout rule. Yes,
you
sir.
only saw the games, Paul, as you know.
Well, you saw the road games. That's all you saw.
That's all.
And Marty was the mentor of Marv Albert, and I cut my teeth on Marty. Look, I'm going to be frank with you. I used to listen to Marty Glickman when I was 5 years old. Chip Sapolo was doing pre- and post-game shows.
Chip Sapolo, right.
Right?
He was doing it with he was a pre-game game.
Exactly.
And Sam Huff. Finish the defense.
And you know what? And that's how I cut my teeth. And I can remember games from the 1969 season. I can remember plays and games like it's the back of my hand right here.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so I understand the depth of your passion. Believe me. I get it.
And I get it.
And Marty was special. And when he wound up going to the Jets and doing the Jets games on
I know,
WOR
that was later in his
with
career.
Sam
And then we got
DeLuca,
Moss to come in.
that was a shame. But hey, you know what? Think about it. Chips between Marty Glickman, right? After that, Marv Albert, Jim Gordon, Bob Papa.
And Dick Lynch.
Right? Four play-by-play voices over the years have just been terrific to all these fans, and they're part of the tradition too. So in one regard, you're right. We did not talk, or they did not on the stage talk about the broadcasters of the 100 years. But look, Bob represented all of them very well with the outstanding job that he did as the host. He was great.
I want to just go over a couple other things. I mean, I would say this also, okay? When I think Rob Carpenter, and we talk about when he came on in '81, there's a guy that we also didn't talk about because when we got to that, from '68 when I started watching, I went to the Colt game at Yankee Stadium in '68. It's 27-0. They lost the Giants. Goodbye, Allie. You know what I'm talking about. And then obviously '70, they almost made the playoffs. They lost to the Rams in the last game of the year, and then '72 they had another good season. Other than
8-6 in '72, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
The fumble changed everything, as we know.
Sure,
but because of that fumble, it was actually a blessing because we got George Young. Everything changed. Rob Carpenter, in my opinion, changed the whole team of '81, if you remember. And after '81, that '81 season was the beginning. It was really the beginning of everything. I mean, it really started when they got
Robbie, to be fair, the '81 season was LT's rookie season, and between his addition on defense and Rob Carpenter came through the trade with Houston, those were the two things that really catapulted that '81 team into becoming a playoff squad.
Paul, last thing, and I know you probably got other calls.
We do.
I must meet you. I had the first program as well from 1925. I want to show it to you against the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets.
You showed it to me last night.
No,
I
that
saw
was the 41.
Oh, that was a different one.
December 7th.
Okay, I knew you had something in plastic last night.
Right, that was actually the December 7th, the Tuffy Lehman's game, with actually the Brooklyn Dodgers won that game. And then they won Giants 2 weeks later because of the war. After that, they played nowhere, and they played in Chicago, but they got killed. But I wanted to say another thing, Paul, that the Giant history. If you think about it, and this is what was kind of early on, they were talking about it. With Bob Papa and obviously John when he came on. If you think about how many championships we made it to from 27, 33, 34, 35, 38, 39, 41, 46. 56, 57, 58. I mean, it's in the 60s. It was unbelievable, but we lost them all. We played Notre Dame in the game.
I know.
You know all this history.
I know.
great.
doesn't change the fact that the New York Football Giants are one of the conduits of the National Football League, period. What their one-loss record was in championship games, in all honesty, does not matter. The stature of this organization endures and supersedes whatever those scores were. This is an absolute steel beam of the NFL when you talk about Big Blue football. Case closed.
Well, they are a rock. I mean, it's just them, the Bears, and Chicago, and Green Bay. But as far as I'm concerned, Wellington Mara and his father, and hopefully, and John as well going forward. This is going to be. You got me so excited about
all
this.
All right, Robbie.
Anybody who wasn't there, you must see the special. I know there is a special.
You watch the special next Thursday. You look. Just do me a favor, right? Make sure you digest your food first, because if you get this excited watching the special, it's going to be all over your carpet. All right? Be good, okay?
Thank you so much, and we're going to talk again. Are you on
Robbie.
every week like this? Is this all a year like this?
Big Blue Kickoff Live is here Monday to Friday, every day, except during holidays.
All
right.
And
be good.
It's just great stuff. Thank you so much for letting me vent it out, man.
You're welcome.
Phenomenal.
Enjoy. 201-939-4513. Okay? See, I bet you didn't know when you got a job here that this is what you were in for.
No, not quite.
Yeah.
Love seeing, meeting excited fans like that, though.
It's awesome.
I like that end of the spectrum more than the other end of the spectrum that we sometimes hear from our fans.
Well, we're the conduit. As media, we are we are the conduit to the fans, and very often the fans don't get the chance to talk to the owner, the GM, the players. It's not something they get to do on a regular basis, but they can interact with us.
Definitely.
And so we are the conduit. And so I always said, without the fans, I don't have this job. And I've wanted to do this job since I was 5 years old. And I feel like every single day is Disneyland to me because I'm living my dream. And it's because the fans love the Giants so much that there's a reason for me, to have a job like this. So I've always been incredibly appreciative to the fans, and I understand their perspective for sure. 201-939-4513. One other item I did want to mention, I did not want to let it go by. Bob mentioned it during the program last night. It really saddened me. My heart dropped. Former Giants offensive lineman Greg Larson passed away yesterday. May he rest in peace. Condolences to his friends, family, and the entire Giants organization and community. Greg Larson was originally a guard, I believe, on the 61 team. He spans Tittle to Tarkenton. And throughout the course of the 60s, which, as you know, was not a great time for the Giants, he was one of the standout players on the team, converted from guard to center, and then continued to play into the early 70s. Was a terrific player, truly one of the very few bright spots on a subpar offensive line that spanned the better part of over a decade. And so condolences to Greg Larson. I was very saddened to hear that he had passed yesterday.
Yeah, he played, looking it up now, 179 games with the Giants, which when he retired, that was the second most
He was a stalwart.
In Giants history.
He was a stalwart.
Only missed 3 games across 13 seasons as an offensive lineman. Can you imagine that these days?
Yeah.
3 games despite having 7 surgeries throughout his career. That's pretty special.
He was a real leader on that team, and because they didn't have a tremendous amount of success, guys like that kind of, get lost in the shuffle. They don't get mentioned. And I was so happy to hear his name mentioned in the program, but then very sad to hear, that it was done because he had passed. And anyway, R.I.P., obviously, to Greg Larson. All right, we go back to the phones. Aiden in New Jersey, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey, Aiden.
Event was great last night. I really enjoyed it.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part? I would say, since I'm a younger Giants fan, I would say with Eli and Cruz when they came out and talked about the Super Bowl 46. I would say it was a little bit harder for me to understand since I'm a younger fan of the older ones, but it was great to hear about the team history and hear everything overall. And I really enjoyed all the artifacts and all the decoration and in the lobby. It was just incredible.
Good stuff. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, and Paul, we talked a little bit before it started, and it was great talking to you.
Well, very, very nice to meet you as well. And I will say this. The fans were very, very gracious last night from the beginning of the program and again, going through all the halls to see all the stuff, all the way to the end with the standing ovation for the senior citizen who closed it. The fans were dynamite. The chant, how about the Pearson? Remember Eli Manning, the chants for Eli Manning?
Yeah, they had the defense chant going at one point.
The defense chant going. Yeah, Bob made sure that people knew that. Yeah, Bob made sure that the chants of defense, which the Knicks crowd usually use at Madison Square Garden, wanted to make sure that people understood. That started in the 50s at Yankee Stadium with the Giants, and then they started chanting that too. So it was really the fans were dynamite, and they certainly added to the special feel of the event.
I didn't even know that the defense chant originated with the Giants, so that was great to learn.
What's up? I'm John Wall.
And I'm CJ Toledano, and we're starting a new podcast presented by DraftKings called Point Game. We're now joined by 3-time NBA Sixth Man of the Year, elite bucket getter. Let's please welcome Jamal Crawford to Point Game. King of the Court one-on-one tournament. If they had it back in your prime, do you think you could have took it all?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I could have took it all, but I think I would have shocked a lot of people. I think Kobe and everybody in their prime, Kobe would win a one-on-one contest.
Yeah, because you got to think, he's going to guard. He don't care about guarding.
He's going to guard.
He's going to guard. Like, you see him in the Olympics, he's going to guard. And then on top of that.
Like that, see that?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sam Cassell to Point Game.
I remember you came out from prime 10. I mean, he was in a culture shock. And then he's going through withdrawals about winning.
Remember what I told you? I said, OG, you think I can get paid and go back and play in college because it ain't it?
Check out Point Game with John Wall and CJ Toledano on the iHeartRadio app, DraftKings YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And thanks for the call. All right.
Thank you, Aiden.
201-939-4513. All right. From what you were able to review, I know you had an event yourself that you had to deal with. Was there something about the event that either surprised you or that kind of caught you like wow, okay, hey, even though I worked on this thing, I didn't know about that.
Well, I did. As you said, I was home. I wasn't able to attend the event, but I did work the first couple hours because my event was a little later in the night. So
you were there earlier. I didn't see you.
No, I was home, but I was updating Giants.com. Like the live gallery we had going, the article we had with all of the tweets that our social media team was putting out from the red carpet and from on stage and stuff. So I did get to, follow along. I wish I could have seen it live because it, from everything I've heard from so many people, it was just a tremendous event. I wouldn't say anything really surprised me. I mean, when it comes to, the greatest play that was announced, as we discussed yesterday, no surprise there.
Yeah, David Tyrese helmet catch. It was that was academic.
Yeah, and the loud cheers that the fans were giving throughout the event, I was expecting it, honestly. For an event like this, the fans that are going to come are the fans that, as you and I both feel, just love Giants football. I mean, as you mentioned, you wanted this job since you were 5. I'm very similar. I've been a diehard Giants fan my entire life. My family's had season tickets for 70 years now. Been going to games.
I didn't know that. 70?
My grandfather.
Did he really?
He got season tickets when he was, I want to say, 19 or 20 years old. He's now 88. I think this is his 70th season as a season ticket holder.
Does he still come to the games?
Still comes to the games.
Oh, that's awesome.
Still comes. And
you make sure he says, I got to meet this guy.
Similar to you, he can pinpoint and tell you details about a random October game from 1967 off the top of his head.
Well, some people think that's an illness, actually.
So similar to you, I've been living and breathing Giants football my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And so an event like last night, even if I wasn't working for the Giants,
but you had a part in it anyway.
That is an event that I would have would have gone to, because that's something, appreciating the history of the organization is something that I think every fan of any team across any sport should do, because you can't really move forward and understand even the present or the future without first comprehending the past and what's already come through. And there have been some absolute legendary players, coaches, executives that were well before my time. I'm 31 years old. Obviously, the Giants, this is their 100th season. So
I got notebooks older than you.
Exactly. But I've made it a point to really learn and appreciate the history that came before me, because I think it's really important to understand everything that happened in the history of the organization, even well before I was born, in order to truly appreciate everything that this organization has been through, especially with this 100th season and all the great, amazing events that are planned throughout the whole season. It just has helped me appreciate everything even a little more than I already did. And I already have been so grateful for, the opportunity to work here and work for this team.
I was talking to John Mara a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the fact that, Parcells was scheduled to make it for the event. For those of us who grew up during the Bill Parcells era, and I got to cover the Bill Parcells era, that will always be the golden era for me, and I value the Tom Coughlin era, like literally right there, 1 and 1A. But the Parcells era, that's always going to hold a special place in my heart, because that's when I started. And John and I were trying to think about what is it about his aura, because every time he walks onto this property, whether it's to come and see a practice or to come and see the coach, or if he was here taping something for an HBO special, wherever Bill Parcells is, everybody immediately knows, oh, Parcells is here. And everybody pays attention. Everybody gets their antennas up. And they're all, did you see Parcells? Everyone's looking for him. I said, John, I know, it's incredible. I said, the closest thing that I can say is that it's like Sinatra. For those of us who are older, especially Italians, and if you're from New Jersey, Sinatra, just that name, the Parcells name, the Sinatra name, it gives you goosebumps. And if you know the guys within eyesight or on the property, man, you know it. You know it. It's like Sinatra's in the room. That's the kind of aura that Bill Parcells carries with him. And it was so awesome to see Tuna yesterday. That was, I haven't seen him in a while. So that was real, personally. I mean, I've seen him at the stadium when he's done some ceremonies on the field. I've been in the box. Just to have Bill part of that, and I'm so glad he was able to make it, because, he's getting on in years now. He's in his 80s.
Yeah.
So to have Parcells be able to participate in this was so incredibly cool. And I was just glad that him and Coughlin were able to do a whole segment together, because those two guys, like I say, it's 1 and 1A. It really is. I mean, those two guys are attached at the hip. Obviously, Coughlin was the wide receivers coach in Super Bowl 25. So they are, so intertwined, it's ridiculous. And so cool. So anyway, 201-939-4513. Back to the calls. Bob in New Jersey, you're next on the program. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Great night last night. It was really terrific. It was well worth the 3.5 hours it took me to get from Hazlet, New Jersey to Manhattan. But
did you swim?
Thank you, Amtrak. Thank you, Amtrak.
I got you.
Anyway, I'm 82 years old. My son and I represented 5 generations of Giants fans at the game. From my father, who my father was there in 1925 when the Giants started. He was a high school student, and get this, he paid 50 cents a ticket with his GO card.
That's incredible.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course, 50 cents was a lot in those days.
Yes, it was. No doubt.
And my 2-year-old great-grandson is got Giants gear already, so he's all set to follow. We have tickets since 1976, but we used to go to games in the 1950s. My uncle was a bartender across the street from the stadium, and he used to trade drinks for tickets.
Okay.
You even got to see the greatest game. You got to see that.
That's really cool.
Sounds like a smart man to me.
I was just going to say, he got the better end of that bargain.
Seriously.
Absolutely. I don't know how many drinks he had to give for it, but...
Who's counting?
A funny thing about it, we were at the greatest game. Years later, I went to a charity dinner, and Frank Gifford was going to be the speaker. So he's walking past me, and I said, Giff, you made that first down. We didn't say what first down. He said, you're damn right. We should have won the championship.
He always swore that he did, and there have been scientific people who have actually done some diagnostics on the video of that game to try to see if they could use mathematics and scientific lasers and all this other kind of stuff to see if he actually got it. Now, I mean, can we really break it down to that? I don't know, but I could appreciate that he believes he got it, and if he says that, I'm okay with it.
What, they didn't have instant replay back
No,
then?
they didn't have replay back then. And by the way, how about Chaz Palminteri? Congratulations to Chaz for a dynamite opening.
Absolutely.
Right?
Chaz is a good guy. I met him before.
Great opening to start the evening off.
Absolutely. I just wish that some of the guys I grew up with were able to be there. Of course, Connolly and Alex Webster and Giff and Kyle Rote. I met Kyle Rote and Jimmy Patton at the bar that my uncle was at. And so I spent some time doing things at that bar, and I met a lot of the Giant players. But you were right about Parcells. I mean, Jim Lee Howell, he had the greatest group of assistant coaches that anybody could ever have with Tom Landry and
Lombardi.
Sure. But Parcells is a great guy. I met him earlier, and he doesn't look too good, though, but he, with all his heart trouble.
Don't say that. Come on, the man's been through a lot. He's had heart ailments and everything else, too. He has been through a tremendous haul just to get to this point. I'll tell you something. When Bill was coaching here, and you know this, you've seen the pictures, you've looked at the films, Bill was badly overweight and was not in great health. And
that's why they call him Tuna.
Well, not really, but that's the primary reason why he resigned from here originally. So God bless him, you know, that he's kept the weight off and that he's living a very healthy life right now. Please don't say you look good. That's terrible. My goodness.
Well, I'm 6 months older than him.
Well, I hope you look well.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Thank God.
God bless you, Bob. I appreciate the call. Please call again. 201-939-4513 here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. I know we got to get to a couple more calls, but I guess I got to get to these promos, though, too. Giants Huddle Podcast, long-form interviews, Giants and league personnel. Go to all your favorite podcast platforms, and you can download those also through giants.com/podcasts. 2024 season ticket memberships are available. Visit giants.com/tickets. Of course, limited inventory is available. We know that. Giants TV, the official TV streaming app. It's free. It's on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. Lines are buzzing. I just want to keep getting to these calls because I know you folks want to talk and talk about either last night or the Giants' Super Bowl victories. We go back to Brad in California. You're next on the show. Hello.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller on the program. Watch you guys a lot, and I love the show. I just have 3 questions. It's not in regards to Giants history. It's about the upcoming season, if I can ask them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess my questions are, and I'll take the answers off the line, but what do you think of our running back room as a collective? And then as far as touches, what do you think the touches are going to be? And what do you think of the Giants going after the center/guard Connor Williams this season to give us a little bit of depth on our O-line? And my last question is, do you think the Giants will play their starters for every game this upcoming preseason? Or do you think Dable is going to give him a little bit of a break on the last game, or how do you think that's going to roll out? Thanks,
right.
I appreciate it.
All right, we'll get to those
Brad.
answers off the air. 201-939-4513. Okay, which one do you want to take first?
I guess I'll take the first one.
Okay.
Running backs?
Sure.
So Devin Singletary, I expect to lead the room in touches. The Giants obviously went out, signed him to a multi-year contract. Given the depth of the running back room, it seems likely that he will be the lead back. The 5th round pick from this year, Tyrone Tracy Jr., as I have said on this show several times since he was drafted, I like the kid a lot. I think he's going to be able to get on the field early because of his abilities as a pass catcher, which Devin Singletary, I'm not saying he's, not a good pass catcher, but Tyrone Tracy is a converted wide receiver. He played 4 years at wide receiver in college before transitioning to running back. So I do think he is a slightly better pass catcher than Devin Singletary. So I think he will be able to get on the field early this season on passing down situations.
As long as he knows how to pick up the blitz.
Yes. That is a very big.
If he doesn't learn
big
that,
if.
he's not getting on the field at all. But I do think that's the best chance for him to get on the field early.
Yes. And, once he's on the field, it's up to him to make plays. If he starts making plays, I think he will start getting more touches, more carries. He might eat into Devin Singletary's touches a little bit, and if that ends up being the case. Overall, I think the running back room, I think is solid. I think it has the potential to be better than what a lot of people expect. I think Devin Singletary is a very consistent back. He has not gotten hurt or has barely missed any time due to injury in his entire career, or at least since after his rookie season, the last 4 years. He has not, had a season in which he's been given, 200, 250 touches or carries at least, which this might be his first, and I'm excited to see what he can do with those touches. Eric Gray was a 5th-round pick last year, and, while his rookie year may not have gone quite as well as any of us would have hoped, they still have belief in him. I still think he could develop, and he could push to be the number 2 back in that room. And then you have a couple of interesting guys like Dante Miller, Jashawn Corbin. Am I missing anyone?
Oh, it's Gray and Corbin and Miller and
Miller
that's about it.
And Corbin as the rounding out the room.
And then the rookie.
Yeah.
So
that's
the room right now.
I think the room is solid and has the potential to be better than expected.
He's never had more than 250 touches in a given season. Had 246 touches with Houston last year.
Yeah, that was the most of his career.
Yeah. Only time he's been over 230.
Yeah.
So, anyway, take that into account. I'll answer the third question because I think question number 2, they got what they got on the offensive line. I don't think they're adding Connor Williams.
Yeah,
I would be shocked.
I think we saw earlier in the offseason, the Giants added a lot of bodies on the offensive line.
Yeah. And they added Schlottman to back up.
A lot of them
JMS.
also were interior guys. You know, obviously Runyon and Illuminor, but then also Aaron Stinney, Austin Schlottman, Matt Nelson's more of a tackle, but yeah, I don't see it, especially with him coming off a big injury. I don't see it, but I guess you never know.
Third question was about starters playing in the preseason. Look, nobody does that anymore, and I don't think the Giants are going to do it either. And if it were me, I'll add this for you. If it were me, I would play my starting 5 offensive linemen a good chunk. Have I decided how many snaps? No, I have not. Have I decided how many quarters? No, I have not. But if it were me, they would see the biggest chunk of reps of any of the starters. My 5 starting offensive linemen would lead the team in snaps during the preseason, if it were me. I just haven't given a thought to how many that would be, because you're going to play 3 preseason games. Now, remember something. 3 practices against the Detroit Lions.
2, I thought.
Well,
2 joint practices.
2 joint practices, 3 days they're here for. You're
Yeah.
right. So it's 2 joint practices. They're here for 3 days. Possibly one against the Jets, which I don't think they've actually cemented all the details yet.
No, Coach Dable said there would be one, but I don't know.
They expect it to
I don't
be.
know if it's been 100% confirmed yet.
Coaches are now more apt to use their starters in those joint practices because they are controlled. a lot more controlled in terms of injury risk than the preseason games are. So that's where you will see more of the starters getting a lot more of the work. I would still, in addition to that, make sure that my starting 5 offensive linemen, because I am a very strong believer in continuity, and I am a very strong believer in if you don't get those reps together, your offensive line will not gel properly. I would like to see those guys get in a significant amount of snaps. I haven't put a number on it, but that's my thought.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to get some playing time. I mean, the injury concern does worry me a little bit because, as we saw last year, one injury to the offensive line, one of the starters, kind of could have a domino effect. It did last year. Granted, that was with Andrew Thomas, who is the unit's, the best lineman of the group. But I mean, if someone else gets injured, I don't know. I would make sure that they get some reps for sure, because I agree with you. Especially those 5 players, they need to develop chemistry together because it's a new group, 2 newcomers. Evan Neal hasn't played that much. John Michael Schmitz is only going to year 2. Andrew Thomas, as great as he is, missed half of last year. So I agree it is important for them to get reps together. But I'm glad you brought up the joint practices, because you and I were standing next to each other for most of those 2 joint practices in Detroit last year. That is where I think all guys at every position are going to get the most valuable reps, because when they take those individual or reps, whether they're, wide receiver versus cornerback individual drills or 11 on 11, 7 on 7,
they go at
these guys are going at it 100%. Like it's not like they're going half speed or anything. They are going full force. And as you said, it's just more of a controlled setting. So I actually think those reps are more important. So I'd rather see the starters get more reps during those joint practices and then maybe slightly less once it comes time to the preseason games. But we'll have to see what Coach Sable decides to do. We'll find out soon enough.
The 2 units that need the most work together in order to solidify the fabric will always be the offensive line number 1 and the secondary number 2. Of all the units on the field, offense, defense, doesn't matter. Offensive line number 1, secondary number 2. Those 2 units need the most work together to weave their fabric into one. The Giants secondary is also kind of being tinkered with. They got a new CB.
Young group.
They got a new CB2. They may have a new starting safety if Newbin is able to crack the starting lineup. So they're going to need some reps as well. But you know me, folks. Always goes back to the offensive line. That's the unit that's got to see the most reps. Again, I haven't put a number on it. Doesn't sound like you have either. No. But that unit's got to lead the preseason in reps. I feel very strongly about that.
One other thing, since you brought up the secondary from last night, the Hard Knocks teaser, the clip that I saw, or the quote that I saw going around the most on social media, on Twitter today, was the part of Shane Bowen talking about how they plan on using Isaiah Simmons this year.
Okay, here's the danger about the clip that came from Hard Knocks, and it's great. Hard Knocks coming on July 2nd.
July 2nd, yep.
That's the first show. The Shane Bowen clip, if I understood Joe Shane correctly, and they were talking about it on the stage, that clip came very early when Shane Bowen got here because he wanted everybody in the organization, and they wanted to know, what is he looking for and what's he going to do? So he talked about the type of scheme he'd like to run as the base set, and also how he would like to use Isaiah Simmons, right? And the thing about it was, I'm pretty confident that the way they were talking about it, that was in February when Bowen got here. What happened since then? They had a full draft, and they made a huge trade to get Brian Burns. That will probably change some of what Bowen was thinking, because he knew in February when he took the job that he had this clump of players. And he's looking at the tape and he's saying, this is what I got, this is what I'd like to do, and this is how we're going to do it with these guys, but I also know I'm going to need some of this. What can you guys do to get that during the offseason? Well, what did they do? They made a huge trade for Brian Burns, who is a significant impact player, And then they drafted a guy who may be a starting safety on defense.
Yep.
So I wonder if anything that Bowen said is going to change as the result of some of the personnel acquisitions. They also drafted Drew Phillips as a potential slot.
That's true.
So he may have 3 significant toys to play with that he did not have when that clip was made.
Do we know for sure when that clip was in the offseason? Because you have to keep in mind, when Shane Bowen was hired, Isaiah Simmons was a pending free agent.
Yes.
So
correct.
He didn't know for sure that Isaiah Simmons would be back at that time.
No, I do not believe he knew at that point.
No,
but again, we don't have the date of that clip, but it was pretty clear from reading between the lines on how they were talking about it that was a very early, like when Bowen got here, that's when that was February. So
for those of you that don't know, the clip that we're referring to was Shane Bowen saying that he could see using Isaiah Simmons as a nickel corner on early downs.
He said coverage guy on first and second downs, and then on third down as a rover. That's what he was talking about. Nickel corner, no, I don't think he meant
That's
nickel
just
corner.
what I saw a bunch of the beats put out saying early down nickel corner. That's what I'm going from, the beats that were there.
Definitely coverage, let's put it that way.
But regardless, using him more so in coverage, which we didn't see a ton of from Isaiah Simmons last year.
We saw more of it than I thought we were going to see, to be honest.
But I just thought that was interesting because, when we've been talking about Isaiah Simmons, even on the roster.
Well, let's put it this way.
On Giants.com, he's listed as a safety / linebacker. If he starts seeing reps and snaps at slot corner, that just adds a new body to the mix.
I don't see him as a slot corner. And with Drew Phillips,
big slot corner.
With Drew Phillips being added to the mix, a guy who they're saying they want him to be slot. They also signed Trey Herndon, who, by the way, has extensive experience in the slot and has played well in this league. There are different pieces to the pie now than when that clip was made. So I don't know how much substance you can put in a clip that did not reflect the current roster. I think people need to be aware of that. But, some people just need to get their stuff out.
I agree. I just thought that was interesting and definitely a little eye-opening.
Again, that could be false pizza.
Of course. We won't know until they actually get onto the field during training camp and we start seeing where guys are lining up during team drills and stuff. But
let me put it to you this way. It was interesting. In the media avails that were available to us in the spring, did you see Isaiah Simmons playing nickel corner?
No.
No, you did not. Do I really need to?
But I also
do I need to get a jury in here?
He also didn't participate in a lot of team drills during the spring.
He did miss some of those.
So
that is true too.
We'll see. We'll
but
find out.
When he was in there, we didn't see him in nickel corner.
I just thought it was eye-opening. That's it. I don't know if he'll end up lining up there. Maybe not.
Something to keep in mind. I look at that as something to keep in mind, but I wouldn't put much stock in it right
Definitely
now.
makes me very excited for Hard Knocks to come out.
Well, I'm a huge Isaiah Simmons fan, so trust me, the antenna was up when he talked about it.
What's up? I'm John Wall.
And I'm CJ Toledano, and we're starting a new podcast presented by DraftKings called Point Game. We're now joined by 3-time NBA Sixth Man of the Year, elite bucket getter. Let's please welcome Jamal Crawford to Point Game. King of the Court one-on-one tournament. If they had it back in your prime, do you think you could have took it all?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I could have took it all, but I think I would have shocked a lot of people. I think Kobe and everybody in their prime, Kobe would win a one-on-one contest.
Yeah, because you got to think he's going to guard. He don't care about guarding.
He's going to guard.
He's going to guard. Like, you see him in the Olympics, he's going to guard. And then on top of that.
I'm not guarding like that, CJ.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sam Cassell to Point Game.
I remember you came out from crying, tears, crying. I mean, he was in a culture shock. And then he's going through withdrawals about winning.
Remember what I told you? I said, OG, you think I can get paid and go back and play in college? You think I ain't it?
Check out Point Game with John Wall and CJ Toledano on the iHeartRadio app, DraftKings YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
201-939-4513. Coach Marvin in Delaware, you're next on the show. Hello.
How you doing, Paul and Max?
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, I saw that about Isaiah Simmons, too, and my antenna went up in a happy way. I think as a coach, I got to figure out to get my most talented players on the field. He's a talented guy. Can I snap into that? it's okay for me to talk about it, but we'll see when he get on the field if he can produce. And if they do turn him into a three-down player, I think that's what they were saying. I don't think they used nickel. When I read it, it said three-down player.
Yeah, I don't remember the word nickel being used either. But I'll say this, Coach. Isaiah Simmons is a hell of a talent. I thought he was the best defensive player coming out of that draft. And I really hope that the Giants can get a lot out of him.
That's what I'm hoping for. And that's the way you have to talk to your players in that manner. Get it out there that, hey, I got this expectations on you, and I believe in you, and then you've got to take over from that point. And that's what the camp is about. So if we all need to pump up Isaiah Simmons, based on what we got him for, I think they got him for some flat footballs, you got to take a shot with him.
Coach, when I saw him in the offseason after he re-signed, and I asked him point blank, I said, what was the difference? I honestly, I wasn't sure if you were going to be back or not. You were free. He said, I met with Coach Bowen as soon as he got here. We had a conversation, and I knew I was wanted. And he was very happy to be and wanted to stay. All he needed to hear was that Coach Bowen wanted him.
Right, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes. You guys, the show yesterday, I wanted to go. I wasn't able to attend. I would have loved to meet Parcells or see him. That was my coaching model, was through him. And the other person I was dying to see was Paul Dottino. That was the one I really...
Coach, do not put me in the same sentence as Coach Parcells. Please do not do that.
No, it was a period after Parcells. Then the new sentence.
Okay, new sentence. A new sentence, I'll take it.
It was a 1A and 1B.
Right. And you guys were talking about, which was the favorite Super Bowl.
Yes.
I was working for the Department of Justice, and I was in Boston. So mine was the beating the 18-0 Patriots, even though the first Super Bowl is always your best one. But that one beating the Patriots, to tell you the truth, I didn't give us much of a chance in that game myself. I was just happy they were there. We had 2 weeks to celebrate it before that game came. I celebrated with my Giants hat, even though I got a lot of crap from people in Boston. But I never respond. I just tell them, you know what, let me enjoy my 2 weeks of them being in it. And if they lose, we weren't expecting to win anyway. That's the way I looked at it. And they pulled it off. And that was the greatest. That Monday morning at the Department of Justice in Boston was the greatest moment I had that day. They go back in that office, and I didn't say much. I just they had to come to me and talk about it.
Good stuff, Coach.
The other thing about the Giants, you were talking about their history. Everybody's talking all their history. The one part that we're not talking about, the Giants, their foundation is about building a franchise and building a company and making it family. And who are those other franchises? The Green Bay Packers is the foundation of the Giants. The Dallas Cowboys are the foundation of the Giants, and the New England Patriots are the foundation of the Giants. And that's what the Giants have done to the NFL. They brought it out to other organizations.
Well, heck, Lombardi came from the Giants before he built up the Packers too.
Exactly, that's what I said. The Green Bay
I'm sorry,
Packers,
you didn't. I didn't catch that. All right, so Coach, go ahead.
The Cowboys with Landry,
yeah,
Parcells and Belichick with the Patriots, and a lot of Giant coaches were in that
no doubt
office and on that staff. So the Giants have built up other franchises with
Sean Payton, John Fox. They went to Super Bowls. Yeah. They were all here.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is we were talking about free agency, and I was looking at all New York because I'm a big New York fan. Any team I root for is New York. Doesn't matter what it is. You have Bronson with the Knicks. You have Soto with the Yankees. I need Brian Burns to be part of that group. I need him to come in and be part of that group the same way they came in and stole New York. Because those guys, Soto, you go to a Yankee game, that's who they really come in to see. You love Judge, you love those guys, but Soto now have stolen the spotlight there.
I tell you what, Tibbs drew quite an ovation at the Garden last night. People were really, really hot for Tibbs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did see that. And I was listening to Matt talking about Tyrone Tracy. Last night I was looking online and something popped up and it was a scout. I guess he was a scout, and it was about Tyrone Tracy, and he was saying that he believed that he's going to earn his way into the lineup, and he started showing a breakdown of the film. And I was watching that film, and he was saying how in small spaces he makes people miss. He made a lot of guys miss. And when I was noticing, I think what he does so well is he makes the angles on him very difficult to bring him down. And that's why he makes people miss, because the game is based on angles and leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
don't forget speed, Coach. Don't forget speed.
Yeah, speed. Yeah, speed is always a killer. But if you can change angles, sometimes you can make up for that speed.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be able to recover, and based on angles, you can track a guy down. Now, if it's straight line, you're not going to get him. But if you can change and understand your angles on players, you can make up for that speed, and that's what he does. He does a very good job of changing his angles where guys are coming to tackle him, and it's like they just got a bad angle on him, and they're not wrapping him. So I think looking at him, like you said, Paul, he has to pick up the blitz. We all know that. But I think the guy, he's one that I'm really looking at. And I was looking at his pictures, and I had on the site everything. If he's in the film or working out in the OTAs, I can't see what he does in the OTAs. Running back, only receivers, corners.
Right.
Those are the only you can
Right.
see something.
Right.
But you look at him. Just look at him, the way he wears the uniform.
Oh, he's pretty thick. He's got some muscle on his bones now. This guy's cut.
Yes, he does. But in the uniform with that number 29, look at him. He looks the part. He just looks the part. When I see him, I say, "Yeah, this guy. It's something about him. I don't know what it is." But
Coach, we got to run. We got to run.
Yeah.
I got somebody else on hold. I'm glad you called though. Stay well.
Yeah.
201-939-4513.
Quick note on what Coach was just saying with Tyrone Tracy. He's a very interesting prospect. I think if you were to just look at his film from this past season, if you just saw that in a vacuum, you would say this guy is not a 5th-round pick. He should be, round 3 maybe.
That's fair.
It's the fact that is basically his only tape as a running back. I think that's why he dropped to the 5th round where the Giants took him. If he had been a running back for a couple of years and had the similar production he had last season, a couple of years earlier as well, there's no way he was lasting to the 5th round. He just is way too explosive and elusive, fast, thick to be a 5th-round pick. It's just that he's a bit raw as a running back. That's the only thing.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong here. I'm looking it up right now because I want to make sure I do see this. Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, who has done a really good job with the Chiefs. When he was at Rutgers, only twice did he have over 150 carries as a running back. He was not a bell cow.
No.
And even catching the ball, never caught more than 20 passes in a season. So a lot of what people said about him was that, yeah, he didn't have a ton of work, but also, well, he's going to have fresher legs. That's always the flip side to the coin, is that, well, maybe he won't be quite as worn down by the time he gets to the NFL.
Yeah. Also, just real quick, because I found the tweet I was referencing before from Hard Knocks. It was Ryan Dunleavy that said the Giants plan to use him as a 1st and 2nd down nickelback, according to.
Was that a quote?
No.
Did he quote, or is that his interpretation?
He just said Giants planning to use Isaiah Simmons as 1st and 2nd down nickelback as per a pre-draft video with Shane Bowen and scouts shown at Giants 100 Night with Legends.
I still don't remember the term nickel being used.
That's just where I got my information from. And then I looked it up. He does have 706 snaps from the slot in 4 years in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent amount.
How many for the Giants last year?
For the last year, only 65. But the year before
that's
for
not what he does.
but the year before with Arizona, 409 snaps in the slot.
And part of that was probably also out of desperation because they had nobody else who could even attempt to do it. The Giants now have some bodies at nickel.
Yeah, but that is true. But the other guys at nickel, at least in terms of like Drew Phillips as a rookie, as we always talk about, he's got to earn his way onto the field.
Sure he does.
And Trey Herndon did have his best year last year, playing primarily in the slot, but prior to last season, didn't have a ton of success.
Well, he had played boundary too.
Yeah,
but again,
he was better in the slot than in the boundary.
The thing you have to remember, Matt, is that when a coach looks at his situation, he's also trying to figure out not just what's best for the player, but what's best for the overall scheme of the team.
Oh, of course. That's
and if
more
you
important.
can move Isaiah Simmons out of that position because you were desperate at one point to think that he might have to play there and say, no, he's better off over here doing this because we got some other guys who can do that slot, it makes the defense overall better.
True.
Don't get caught up in this Simmons slot thing. Just don't.
You also want to get your best 11 guys onto the field. And if you look at what you likely defensive form or the lineup, where is he going to fill in then?
I think he's much better off as a rover than he is a slot. That's not even close for me.
I guess we're gonna have to see.
We'll find out.
We're gonna have to see the defensive formation that Shane Bowen uses the most because we don't know at this point.
No, we don't.
That's the thing.
I hope that Bowen sees it as I do, but who knows? Lawrence in Florida. You're last on the show. Hello.
Thanks for having me. I just wanted to mention that we're talking about a little bit about the history. I'm from Long Island. I remember in the 60s, the games used to be blacked out, and people used to go on their roofs and turn their antennas toward Connecticut.
For Channel 3. In New York, you used to try to get Channel 3 through a very fuzzy and staticky rabbit ears. I remember those days well.
And then all the real fans, they would get in their car and they drive.
That's true.
They could see it and rent a hotel room.
That is correct.
To watch the games. Or you could listen to Marty Glittman and Algie Regatas on the radio.
Well, Diodiro was in the early 60s.
They were the best. Marty Glittman made every play sound like the guy might be running for a touchdown. He might get 2 yards. He made it seem like he was going 50, 15, 20-yard run. But, and then when you think about what the Giants started, remember Homer Jones started the spike. The fans you mentioned before about the defense. Harry Carson with the bucket. And the individual that they never mentioned, I never heard anybody mention is individual play. We talk about good plays. Was the one with Bradshaw got the first down and ran about 20 yards to get out of bounds, stopped the clock before the half so Eli could throw that Hail Mary
against Green Bay.
Yeah, no one mentions that play. Most people just would have tried to get as far as they can in the clock. The clock would have ran out. He ran 20 yards to get out of bounds.
Thousands of plays could have been up for contention in the Giants' best play of all time. Thousands could have been, but they narrowed it down to 4 at the very end.
Plus the individual. Remember Y.A. Tittle's 7 touchdown passes in one day.
Absolutely, sure. Joe Walton had a big game that day.
And with that game, I think he threw 6 touchdown passes, and then they took him out. Then he found out if he gets one more, he'll have the record. Then they put him back in so he can get the record. Then he went out again.
The players wanted him to go back in for another one. They didn't want him to come out.
Keep going.
Lawrence, I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. 201-939-4513 is our number. Hey, by the way, just so we have a complete understanding here, if you've got a tight end in the slot, which does happen in this league sometimes, where a tight end will wind up lining up as a slot guy instead of as an in-line or as an H-back.
Yep.
That would be a situation where I could favor Simmons in the slot. Otherwise, I would never put him in there. I would only put him in there against the tight end.
That's
that
fair.
I would do.
I definitely think he would benefit or perform better in the slot when lined up against bigger bodied guys, for sure. Put someone like, Wan'Dale Robinson size going up against Isaiah Simmons, that might be a little tough for him. I'm not arguing for Isaiah to play the slot. Okay. I just want to make that clear. All I was saying was that I just thought that was interesting that was shown in the Hard Knocks teaser last night. That's it.
More Hard Knocks on July 2nd.
Cannot wait.
201-939-4513. That will do it for today's program. We actually ran a little bit over. I do apologize. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. For Matt Citak, I am Paul Dottino. You can always catch an archive of this show on Giants.com/podcasts and podcast platforms everywhere. We will see you next time.
That's the sound of steak searing in its juices on your new pellet grill. You heard that right. The Weber Searwood Pellet Grill can smoke low and slow at 180 degrees all the way to a high heat sear at 600. With the Weber Searwood, you can cook on the direct flame over the full grade sear zone. You'll hear the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Searwood Pellet Grill just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
Cocoa Beach, not only Orlando's closest beach, but Florida's spaciest. Put your feet in the sand and pull up your front row seats to America's missions to space. Watch rocket launches right from the beach. The legacy of the space race surrounds you on Cocoa Beach. Head to Kennedy Space Center to learn the history and future of space exploration. Cocoa Beach is perfect for space enthusiasts young and old alike. Plan your own mission online at legendarycocobeach.com on Florida's Space Coast.